I've spent most of my life hiking, not because I'm some survival expert, but because it's the only place where I can completely switch off. No traffic, no phones, just trees. Last October, I decided to spend a weekend camping in a state forest about 3 hours from my hometown. The trail I picked wasn't popular. According to the ranger, most people stayed on the main routes because this section of the forest was harder to navigate. That was exactly why I chose it. I wanted to be alone. Around noon, I parked my truck, signed the trail register, and started hiking. For the first few hours, everything was normal. The weather was perfect. The forest was quiet except for birds and the wind moving through the trees. By late afternoon, I found a small clearing near a creek and set up my tent. I cooked dinner, watched the sun disappear behind the trees, and crawled into my sleeping bag around 9:30. Sometime during the night, I woke up. At first, I didn't know why. Then I smelled smoke. Not campfire smoke. Fresh wood burning. I unzipped the tent just enough to look outside. At first, I couldn't see anything. Then, through the trees, I noticed a faint orange glow. Someone had a fire. That wasn't unusual. What was unusual was where it was. The nearest campsite was at least 2 miles away. Curious, I grabbed my flashlight and walked toward the light. The closer I got, the quieter the forest became. No insects, no birds, not even the wind. After about 5 minutes, I reached another clearing. There was a fire burning in the middle, but there was no one around. No tent, no backpacks, no chairs, just a perfectly built campfire, still burning. I called out, "Hello?" Nothing. I figured maybe whoever built it had gone to collect firewood. I waited for about 30 seconds. Then I noticed something lying beside the fire. A hiking boot. Only one. It looked old, covered in mud. I didn't touch it. Something about the whole scene felt wrong. I turned around and headed back toward my campsite. Except, I couldn't find it. I walked for almost 20 minutes. Everything looked unfamiliar. The creek was gone. The clearing was gone. Even the trail I'd used to reach the fire had disappeared. That's when I started to panic. I pulled out my phone. No signal. My GPS wouldn't load. Then I heard footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Behind me. Crunch. 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 I spun around. Nothing. The footsteps stopped. I kept walking. A few seconds later, they started again. Always behind me. Always matching my pace. I decided to test it. I stopped walking. The footsteps stopped too. My heart was pounding. I counted to 5. Then I started walking again. Crunch. 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 Whoever or whatever it was started walking too. I didn't look back again. I just kept moving. After what felt like an hour, I finally saw my tent. I threw myself inside, zipped it shut, and stayed awake until sunrise. I didn't hear the footsteps again. When daylight came, I packed everything in less than 5 minutes. As I hiked back toward the parking lot, I finally found the main trail. Relieved, I stopped at the trail register to sign out. The ranger was sitting nearby. I casually mentioned that I'd seen another campfire deep in the woods. His expression changed immediately. He asked me exactly where I'd seen it. I pointed toward the section of the forest where I'd camped. He stared at me for a moment before quietly saying, "There aren't any campsites out there." I laughed. I know, that's why I thought it was strange. He didn't laugh. Instead, he asked, "Did you go near it?" I nodded. Then I told him about the boot. He looked away for a second. Then he sighed. About 10 years ago, a hiker disappeared in that part of the forest. They found one of his boots, but they never found him. I felt my stomach drop. I asked him if anyone ever searched the area again. He said they searched for weeks. Nothing, not even a campsite. As I got into my truck, I looked back toward the trees one last time. For just a second, I thought I saw a faint column of smoke rising above the forest, like someone had started another fire. I almost convinced myself it was my imagination, until I got home. While unpacking my backpack, I found something wedged into the side pocket. It wasn't mine. It was an old mud-covered compass. Scratched into the back were 3 words: "Don't follow the fire."